Welcome to the 2015 Indian River County School Board and County Commission Candidate Forum hosted by the Indian River Tea Party. That is a mouthful. My name is Paul Tanner. I'm chairman of the Indian River Tea Party, and I would ask that you all rise and join me in a word of prayer, and also Carl Zimmerman, I'd ask to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance afterward. Heavenly Father, we ask for your guidance and your grace and your love to be on this event, and for each individual to hear what they need to hear and to discern wisely so that they can cast an informed vote. Father, we all can understand that our country is in trouble, and we need to turn around. We need to come back to the roots upon which we were founded. So I pray for that. Father, we remember those in Louisiana who have lost so much, and I pray for the efforts there that they will be able to rebuild and to be safe. And for those who have lost loved ones, I pray for their comfort. Father, be with each member here tonight. Father, we pray that you would bless them for their willingness to serve our community. We pray for Indian River County. We pray for her to remain great and for us to make good decisions on how she should remain Indian River County. And thank you so much to live in such an awesome place. Pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Please join me in honoring our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Please be seated. While each of you are being seated, I would like to welcome the listeners on WTTB, and I want to let the listeners know that there is plenty of time to call and text your friends right now and tell them to tune in. 105.7 FM or 1490 AM. So go ahead and do that. I want to thank WTTB for broadcasting this event live. And also thank you for Vero Buzz TV for recording tonight's event. Now here's a word to you audience and to those listening. VeroBuzzTV.com will be posting this event on their website. So if you know friends and family members, and if you look around and say, I can't believe she's not here, I can't believe he's not here, well, you can let them know they can watch and they can tune in on VeroBuzzTV.com. So please remember to do that. Email your friends. And also thank you to Vero Beach Heritage Center for this beautiful facility. We begin tonight with 4 candidates running for Indian River County School Board. From District 3, we have Douglas White and his opponent, Laura Zork. From District 5, we have Tiffany Justice and her opponent, John Kim. So let's review tonight's format. Notice that we do have a timekeeper down front, and he is generally a very nice. This is Toby Hill. If you want to clap, that's okay. But he is generally a very nice guy. But when you give him those paddles, he turns into a little bit of a grouch. So you got to be nice to him. What he's going to do is he is going to raise the yellow paddle when you have 30 seconds left. You will be given 2 minutes to answer the question. So we will wait for the train? No, we won't wait for the train. No jokes about the train. Okay. When you have 30 seconds left, he'll raise the yellow. If you see the red paddle, that is very important. That means stop talking. Okay, very important. All right. Please answer the question that's asked. I may ask you to clarify, or if I think you did not answer the question, we want to make sure that everybody here and everybody listening gets a reasonable answer to the question, so I may do that. First, each candidate will have 2 minutes to put your best foot forward and tell us what we need to know about you in 2 minutes. After that, we're going to start from one end and go to this end. We'll start with Mr. White. After that, there will be 4 questions from the moderator. These were formulated by the board of the Indian River Tea Party. Again, you'll have 2 minutes to answer those questions. Each of you will have the opportunity to answer all the questions. And these correspond with the Indian River Tea Party's core principles. Those include constitutionally limited government, fiscal responsibility, and free market solutions to the issues that we face. And finally, we will be accepting questions from the audience. This is where you come in. Carl Zimmerman has note cards, and he also has pens available. All you need to do is raise your hand, give him a little bit of time, he'll get to you. But raise your hand, he'll give you a note card. When you're finished legibly writing the question, hint, hint, when you're finished writing the question, raise your hand, he'll pick it up, he'll give it back to one of our members of the board, and they will come to me. So we will ask those questions at the end. Please be respectful in your questions. We have had to not ask certain questions that were just inappropriate, but we will judge that, and hopefully we'll get to ask all of your questions. So let's be ready to begin. Now, I want to give the candidates some instruction. You have a microphone right here. This is critical that you share nicely, and it's critical for our listeners that are listening by radio that you say your name prior to answering each question. If you don't do that, people may not know who to vote for. So make sure you say your name prior to answering each question. And also use the microphone and go ahead and put your mouth up towards the microphone like I should be doing so that the radio audience can hear you very well, okay? All right, so first we're going to begin with a 2-minute intro by each candidate, starting with Mr. Douglas White.
Is this on? Yes, it is. Thank you for having me. I am more nervous than the couples on Married at First Sight. I would like to give a shout out to Rick Santelli, who started the founder of the Tea Party, and also Larry Kudlow, who believes in free enterprise. I have 27 years of teaching experience in the county, Vero Beach Junior High School, Oslo Middle School. I was nominated for Teacher of the Year. I coached the Lady Raiders basketball championship in 1987. I was also a coach of the soccer team with Michael Studsky. I was a sponsor for the Future Florida Educators, who later became teachers and administrators. I was team leader at Oslo Middle, which I have experience with parents, teachers, and administrators. I was the building rep for the Vero Beach Junior High School and Oslo Middle School. If elected, I will return the salary of the school board to schools like Winter Beach School for the handicapped and Down syndrome children, where my son graduated in 2009. Other schools need funds as well. Over a 4-year period, that could amount to over $100,000. A principal of mine once told me, "It's not, Doug, what you know, it's how much you care." It took me a while to learn this. In conclusion, I feel I'm the most experienced in terms of education experience on the panel. I will be fair. I believe no one in this room knew that the administrators during the Great Recession took a 7.9% reduction in pay. Teachers need to know this. I was talking to the superintendent about this, and he told me that we perhaps lost a good principal he wanted to hire. I'm out of time. Thank you.
Well, Laura, before you begin your answer, one rule of housekeeping. My apologies for not stating this. We would like to hear your applause, but it really is not going to help because of the listening audience, and we need to get through this. But we would ask that you express your energy, enthusiasm for, or opposition to a candidate at the ballot box, so please be respectful of that.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Laura Zork. I am a candidate for school board in District 3. The reason I am running for this position is because I am the mom of 3 school-aged children. My oldest daughter graduated Vero Beach High School in 2011, and with my baby in 2nd grade, total, I have 19 years as a parent with a child in our school system, and I feel that the quality of our education here in Indian River County is declining, and I want to take my background and my experience and bring that onto the school board so that I can help all our students succeed. Currently, right now in Indian River County, only 50% of our students can read on grade level, which contributes to the fact that we are having trouble with graduation rates here in our county, with only 76.6% of our students graduating. My background for the last 5 years as a parent, I have traveled this state talking with our legislators about our education policy. Here in Florida, our standards are low, and I have met with our legislators to work on improving our standards, reducing our assessments because our students are being overassessed. Our teachers don't have time to teach because we are testing so much. And because of my leadership, I have been invited by Governor Scott to participate on his Keep Florida Learning Committee. I applied for that committee. There were 2,800 applicants statewide, from superintendents to legislators to education leaders across this great state. I was one of 10 that Governor Scott chose because I take my background and I research and I know what I'm talking about. I'm out of time, but anyways, I would appreciate your vote on August 30th, and again, my name is Laura Zork.
Good evening. Thank you everyone for coming tonight. My name is Tiffany Justice. I'm running for the District 5 seat on the Indian River County School Board. My husband Mark is here with me tonight. We've been married for 12 years. We have 4 beautiful children. They are 11, 8, 6, and 4, and they all attend the public schools here in this county. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the journey that's led me to this point. I feel that when our children went to school, we sent Ava to her zone school, which was Beachland Elementary School. And I volunteered at the school, and I very quickly realized that that school needed some real attention as far as the infrastructure was concerned. So I learned that I would need to go to the school district and the school board, and I needed to know how the district was funded and how they prioritized those dollars. I spent the last 3 years attending school board business meetings, workshops, and discussion sessions, learning how the school board and the school district operates in the hopes of helping to revitalize my children's school. In this past February, I'm so proud to announce that we received approval, unanimous approval, by the school district for revitalization. But in learning about the school district, I learned that my world got bigger. And I learned I had a responsibility not only to advocate for my own children, but to advocate for all of the children in Indian River County. I love children. I am a parent. I am not a politician. I ask for you to vote for me for the Indian River County School Board because I will work to ensure that every child is educated and inspired to be as successful as they possibly can be in their lives. Again, my name is Tiffany Justice. I ask for your vote for the District 5 seat on the Indian River School Board on August 30th. Thank you very much.
Good evening, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is John Kim. I'm a candidate for School Board District 5. I was born and raised here in Indian River County, attended our public school system, graduated from the Florida State University, and came back to start my own business, Treasure Coast Produce Exchange. And it's having those experiences have taught me that my perspective of what is public school education is very different. It's actually going to public school here and coming back to start my business that I realized we need an education system that is designed to provide our children an education that will give them a quality job in the future. That's vocational education, local control, and special needs education. Not every child could, should, or would go to college, and that's fine, but they need an equal opportunity to be successful, and vocational education is the only way that can happen. Number 2 is local control. We need education the Indian River way, not the Tallahassee way, and not the Washington way. And thirdly is special needs education. Every child deserves a chance to be successful, deserve the chance to achieve the best of their abilities. We need a school district that will be there for all of our children. It's time we put children over politics. It's time we have education done in a local manner and a manner that's truly for the kids. So I humbly ask you to vote in support, vote by mail, vote early this week, and vote August 30th. Vote John Kim for school board. Kim is for kids. Have a good evening.
Thank you, candidates, for letting us know a little bit about yourselves. And at this point, John, if you can pass the microphone down to Mr. White. And we will start with questions from the Indian River Tea Party. And we have 4 questions. You'll be able to answer each question. The first one's a little long. The other ones are fairly short. So the first one, if you need clarification, please ask me. No problem. Candidates, are you ready? Okay. It looked like they nodded to me, so. Prior to the use of certificates of participation, the school board was required to seek taxpayers' approval by referendum before incurring debt for any project. Over the past decade, certificates of participation have been used to circumvent the referendum process, resulting in excess of $100 million of debt on the Indian River County taxpayers. What is your position on the use of certificates of participation?
I would be against that.
This is Mr. Douglas White.
Douglas White, sorry. I would be against that because of certainly the amount that we're talking about, and one should never go in debt unless it's absolutely critical and necessary. It is circumventing the taxpayers' beliefs and the referendum they passed in 2012, and I am quite concerned about the credibility issues that I've seen in the last 4 to 8 years with the school board. That we're not acting like government in the sunshine, and it's a lot of hidden agendas. And I'm certainly against $100 million. It's ridiculous. We have to pay our bills each and every month, and we have to have a balance. And this sounds like the federal government to me. So I'm totally against that, and I would, if I'm running the school board, or if I'm in the school board, I'm going to make sure we use every nickel in the classrooms, and not all these studies, lawsuits. That's not biblical. We need to discuss things, and if they need to get in a room and listen to boys' groups, and after about an hour of that, they should come to an agreement. This is ridiculous, $100 million, and I'm certainly would be against that. Thank you, and this is Douglas White.
Good evening, Laura Zork. Toby, I'm sorry, we get how much time on the 2 minutes? I think this is a very important question to ask, Mr. Tanner, because recently our school district just approved a certificate of participation by going around the voters. By being able to approve it every year, they made it a short term so they could circumvent around the voters, which in essence it really was a 20-year certificate of participation. By doing this, I definitely feel that this was not right. I think that based on the information that our school board members were given at the time, they were misinformed in how it was presented to them, and it was misrepresented. As your school board member, and with my background in forensic accounting and excuse me, business operations, I definitely will do my homework. And I think the day that a few months ago when our school board members accepted the most recent certificate of participation, they weren't given enough time to research it adequately. And that's something that I have already met with administrators about, that don't bring me something and expect me to make a quick decision on it. I want to do my research. I will do my research. And if you bring it to me anytime a week prior to the meeting, it's always going to be a definite no for me, because I want to make sure that every dollar that's being spent is the most wisely, so that our quality of education can be funded and that we can raise our standards here in our district. So the way that the recent certificate of participation was handled, I strongly disagree with that, yes.
Tiffany Justice, District 5 seat on the Indian River County School Board. Thank you for the question, Mr. Tanner. So I'd like to talk a little bit about some of those certificates of participation and how they came into being. When I looked at Avis School, when I looked at Beachland and I saw the state of the school, I asked why it had been allowed to slip into such a state of disrepair. We had the cafeteria and buildings were infested with rodents. We had ceiling tiles that would fall out of the ceiling when it rained in the classroom. We had mold and mildew issues that were affecting the students' health and safety. So in 2007, obviously, the country entered a recession and property values declined. The state at that point also cut what the capital millage was that local districts could ask for, from 2.0 down to 1.75 and then 1.5%. And we still had $330 million of infrastructure and assets to take care of. I see some people in the room, we're property owners. I'm a property owner. My husband and I pay taxes on our property. We take care of our property. Student health and safety and well-being have to be very important. Children, if they are not safe, they cannot be ready to learn. So while I do not like debt, my husband and I try to live a debt-free life. I also think it's important to understand that we do have to meet student needs. As a school board member, I will try to make the best decisions possible for I will be a steward of your taxpayer dollars because we are taxpayers. We pay property tax. My husband and I own a home here in Indian River County. We've owned that home for 15 years. So certificates of participation need to be looked at, and my understanding is that some of those certificates of participation have been refinanced in the past 2 years for a savings of over $10 million. I look for the school district to continue to look at creative ways to lower that debt, and the average maturity of the debt is 8.4 years that we will be debt-free. So I will continue to work with the school district on that. Thank you.
Just for clarification, would you continue the use of certificates of participation or some other route?
No, I would not.
Excuse me. This is John Kim. To be more specific, we're actually $133 million in debt because of our certificates of participation. In my opinion, it is a way for government to not be accountable to the people. The taxpayers of Indian River County are forced to pay their fair share of taxes, and it's absolutely embarrassing that our government has let our financial position get into this awkward area. When I look at businesses and homeowners, they can't get a certificate of participation. They're expected to pay their mortgage on time and in a disciplined manner. As a future school board member, I will encourage our legislature to abolish this type of program. Government must be held accountable because it's taxpayer dollars. Instead of letting problems, when most of our problems are roofing problems and air conditioning problems, instead of letting it sit and get worse, it should be addressed immediately. I'm proud to be endorsed by the Treasure Coast Builders Association to have the support of such fine businesses in making sure our schools, our buildings, our properties are kept safe and sustainable for our children. We must return to the referendums and ensure that our people, the voters and taxpayers of Indian River County, have a say in their tax dollars and, most importantly, our children's future. It is a priority that we return to accountable government, fiscally conservative and responsible government. Again, vote for John Kim.
Okay, thank you, candidates. If you could pass the microphone down to Laura Zork, we're going to start with her with the next question and move down, and then we'll end with Mr. White this time. This is a fairly open-ended question, but we really want to know what your heart is on this matter. What are your views in regard to Common Core?
Oh, Laura Zork. 2013, I took a little group of 4 moms and expanded it to over 22,000 parents statewide. The name of the group was Florida Parents Against Common Core. I studied the standards intensively. If you agree with if you agree it's okay for the federal stimulus to tell states that you have to accept these standards and you have to accept these testing, let's leave it at that. But let's go even further and look into the fact that the Common Core state standards were not as high as the Next Generation Sunshine State standards that we had here in Florida. So my argument with all our state legislators whenever I was traveling around the state was, why are we adopting a national set of standards that's never been vetted, and they're lower than what we have currently? So because of that argument, Governor Scott in 2014, September of 2014, issued an executive order and said, let's look at this. Let's look at the standards themselves, and let's find out what are some areas that we can improve. And because of that executive order, we had 97 changes. There were multiple areas that were deleted that the federal government at the time said that we had to adopt. So based on me being an invited guest, a NAG up in Tallahassee with with our legislators, we ended up with the changes that we have here in the state because of leaders that was willing to step up to the plate, legislators in Tallahassee at the time. There was a House bill that was filed that I helped advocate for that helped push the issue and help reduce the testing that we have here in Florida. So definitely, I do not like the standards.
Tiffany Justice, District 5 School Board seat. So Common Core was introduced at a time when schools were struggling financially anyway, and federal dollars were tied to it, and they didn't give us a lot of choice in accepting and making Common Core part of our school system. The Florida state standards were changed. In my mind, they were mostly technical changes. We still basically have Common Core. And what I think the biggest problem is that it's a one-size-fits-all solution or example of education. And we know that not every student learns in the same way, and not every community holds the same values to be true. So as a school board member, I'm going to look for ways to exert as much local control as possible so I can be a good representative of our community. We select textbooks. We choose the curriculum. So that's where I'm going to look to try to be effective as a school board member, because I could stand here and tell you I'm going to end Common Core. Laura certainly has work to try to do that. I don't know if that's realistic in the next 4 years, but I know there are ways that I can make sure that our community is represented in our children's education. Thank you. Tiffany Justice.
Like many parents in our community, I despise Common Core.
This is John Kim.
This is John Kim. Like this transgender bathroom issue, this is a federal intrusion on education, which should be a state's right. Again, one of my top issues is local control. We must have education the Indian River way, not the Tallahassee way, and especially not the failed Washington way. Children learn differently, they grow up differently, and they have different aspirations. Growing up in Fort Pierce and learning in Fort Pierce is very different than growing up and learning in Vero Beach, like Florida and Georgia. We must have education done for our children at our pace and our way, most importantly. Our parents and our teachers know best about their children and the way they should be educated, not our government. As your future school board member, I will advocate to our Florida and U.S. legislatures to fight and abolish Common Core. This is a federal intrusion on what should be a state's right, and we must protect our children from a failed system. Vote John Kim.
And if we could pass the microphone down to Mr. Douglas White.
Thank you. Douglas White. I'm a social studies teacher. Do you know Alexander Hamilton? Ben Franklin? Thomas Jefferson? Teddy Roosevelt? They were omitted from the original Common Core social studies questions. Speaking of Teddy Roosevelt, 100 years ago, he said, "If you want to anger a conservative, tell him a lie. If you want to anger a liberal, tell him the truth." That was said over 100 years ago. Of course, I'm against Common Core. It's the federal government stepping in again, telling us what we should do, what should be on the exams and tests. A lot of times the computers don't work. Then you get the results 5 or 6 months later. Yeah, I remember where I should have put a semicolon or a comma 5 months ago. Common Core is a disaster. It's part of the federal program to tell us what to do, how to do it. I am totally against Common Core, being a social studies teacher for 27 years. The testing just keeps getting worse. Over 110 teachers have left the profession this year in this county alone, setting an all-time record. You wonder why? This is one reason. There are others. And it's not just about pay, people. It's respect for teachers. Thank you. Doug White.
Okay, if you could pass the microphone down to Tiffany Justice, this will You'll be asked this next question first. Do you support the school district's essential operating needs referendum to be voted on in the upcoming election?
This is Tiffany Justice, District 5 School Board seat in Indian River County. This is a really tough question. So as a parent, it's hard for me to not support this millage because there are 31 teaching positions, physical education positions, music, art, positions that really truly add value to our children's education and classes that sometimes engage students who might not be engaged in school for one reason or another. So from a parent's perspective, I get a little angry when I talk about this because I really don't want to have to worry, fingers crossed, that my children are going to be able to have music or art next year at school. The other programs that will be covered by this millage are technology and training, vocational training specifically. Vocational training, we've heard the community. For the past 6 months, I've been kind of a walking suggestion box. People have talked to me a lot about what they feel is missing in education in Indian River County, and vocational education or career and technical education is one of those areas. So I'm happy to see the school district listening to the community and wanting to use those funds to fund some new and exciting career and technical education programs. The other area is technology. Technology continues to be an underfunded area, and as we continue to ask students to take tests on computers, we know that not every child in our schools is touching a computer at school, and certainly many don't have them at home. So when you ask me if I support the millage, I know that since 2007, the state has cut the funding for our schools by a third. It used to be almost $400 million in the operating budget. This year will be $284 million, almost $285. So I do support the millage because I believe in student achievement and I want to give our children the best education possible. Thank you.
This is John Kim, candidate for school board. Yes, I support the 0.5 millage. In particular, it's been on some of my top 5 platform issues, which is vocational education and technology. It is important that we give our children a 21st century education that will actually provide them a quality career in the future. It's important that we give our children a chance to have vocational education and/or college preparatory. It is important that we make sure our children are up to date in terms of the latest technology to make them competitive in not only the American workforce, but the global workforce. And secondly, the money used from this can also help alleviate the lack of fiscal responsibility within our school district. We're currently hundreds of millions of dollars in debt, in particular owing money to our healthcare issues, and we need fiscally conservative and business-minded board members to go in there and use our money efficiently, effectively, and equitably. It's time we get rid of a lack of fiscal responsibility and replace it with members and government officials that know that this is taxpayer-funded education and we have to use it to the best of our ability. So again, I ask you to vote for John Kim, vote for a conservative business owner. Thank you.
We'll pass the mic down to Douglas White.
Douglas White. I support the referendum also. It is 1/10 of 1% less than what we are paying now. Electives are very important, such as art class and music. It's what keeps students in school a lot of times, extracurricular activities. That's part of our process here, eh? To keep students in schools, and have them graduate. Electives are important. For example, at the University of Miami, where I went, yes, I did take American history classes, but I did take a class called the stock market. Thanks to that class, we have over $1 million in equity and funds. I can give the salary of the school board back to the schools, such as Wabasso School for the Handicapped and Down Syndrome, thanks to electives. If we have a problem with money leading up to November, which it seems like we have, I've thought about why not give taxpayers a chance to get a 5% discount and have it due in October, a month ahead of time. Less money for the taxpayers, and the school system gets the money earlier. trying to think outside the box, trying to help here with the financial problems. And remember, if you vote for me, Doug White, you're getting $100,000 plus back in the schools. Thank you. Doug White.
Laura Zork, candidate for District 3. As a conservative, raising taxes or promoting taxes is not something that I feel comfortable doing. But being a parent, looking at the financial situation of our school district with $135 million of debt, currently for us to maintain the quality and even increase the quality, it is very important that we vote yes on this referendum, because with our graduation rates in trouble, this referendum will help hire teachers, hire the graduation coaches for our high schools to help our students along the way. Also, what this does, when students are losing interest in ninth grade because they don't see themselves going on to college, or maybe their family's not financially situated to send them to college, we are revamping and enhancing our vocational and technical programs so that our kids, when they graduate high school, they go directly into the workforce locally. So this is a situation, as a taxpayer, if we do not pay for it now, our kids are going to pay for it in the future by not receiving a quality education, by not graduating high school, by not improving our literacy rates. And also what this referendum does that it did not do last time is that this referendum also is going to be given to our charter students. Currently we have over 2,200 charter students out of 18,000 students here in the district. The way it is now, our charter students make up 12% of our district, but they're only receiving 5% of our 0.6 mil right now. So what this referendum does is it will fairly share that money with our charters, and they desperately need this money right now.
Thank you, candidates. The next question will go first to John Kim, and then we'll come back to Mr. White and on from there. Do you support equal capital funding of Indian River County charter schools? If not, why?
I am proud to say that I am the only candidate in the School Board District 5 race that has been a lifelong supporter of school choice. There are over 2,000 students in our public school system that attend charter schools, which means there's thousands of parents that are forced to pay their fair share of taxes. The money must follow the student, not politics and not the government. Our charter schools are some of the best schools in our district, and instead of punishing them and taking that choice away from our children, we should expand upon it. Our charter schools receive a fifth of what our traditional schools receive in terms of capital outlay support from the state. Local tax dollars must be shared with our charter schools to ensure that they do not flounder and they can actually expand and support all of our children within Indian River County. I would also support sharing the millage, the 0.5, and the current and previous 0.6 millage monies. And thirdly, administrative fees should be taken away from the charter schools. Therefore, we give total fair treatment to all of our charter schools since they are public schools. And vote for John Kim, August 30th.
Okay. If we can pass the microphone back to Mr. Douglas White.
Thank you, Douglas White. I have quite a few friends that teach in charter schools. They are colleagues, they are friends of mine. I do not want to inhibit their progress. As important as they're all public schools. And they should be given the millage that they deserve from the 2012 referendum. How are the taxpayers going to support another referendum if we don't follow through with the referendum from 2012? The charter schools deserve this. It's choice. Frank Messina, Rose Gaines are some of my friends that teach at the charter school where paint is coming off the walls. The textbooks are old. They're real, true pros, though. They want to be there, those teachers. They took a cut in pay to do this because they believe in the charter school. And I believe in the charter schools, too. I'll fight for them. They're my friends. Thank you. Doug White.
Laura Zork, District 3. My three, Nicholas, Abby, Chandler, they attended Imagine, which is a public charter school. As a board member on the PTA, my job, I was vice president of Ways and Means, I had to help raise funds so that our school can meet basic needs. We needed desks, we needed sunshades, our teachers would run out of paper and just the basics. And that goes back to the fact that our public charter schools are not treated fairly by our district. That is an attitude that I will bring into on our school board that will be a positive attitude for our charter schools because they are meeting the needs of our community. Right now, we have charter schools that have wonderful scores. They're A-rated, and not every local traditional school is going to meet the needs of all students. And parents need choices, and charters meet those needs. And as the president of Indian River County PTA, when I hear negatives about charter, and mainly what the negative is, there's not enough choice. Parents get on a waiting list and they can't get into the charters. So charters are, as a parent with 3 young children, I definitely support charter and I definitely support funding them equally. Thank you.
Tiffany Justice, District 5 seat on the Indian River County School Board. I support our charter schools. I support school choice. As a parent of 4 children, I know that all of my children learn in different ways and may have different needs in school. And I think that what I've learned in this experience is that our charter schools are doing some wonderful things. Parents are involved. They are valued. Parent involvement is the #1 driver of student success, and we need to celebrate that. It is a time for collaboration. Traditional and public schools need to come together and recognize what those best practices are that are happening at our charter schools that are making them so successful. And we need to bring those into all of the public schools in our county. As far as capital outlay funding is concerned, I want to sit down when I'm on the school board with all of the leadership of all of the schools. Much as the principals have come into the district now and attend principal meetings, we all need to sit down and we need to look at the needs of the schools, all public schools, public, traditional, and charter, and we need to talk about what the needs are, and we need to all prioritize together what's in the best interests of the students, parents, teachers, and taxpayers in this county. I promise to be an informed advocate for every student, teacher, taxpayer in this county. My sister-in-law, taught at a charter school. I have friends that send their children to charter schools. I will support every student in their education. Thank you.
Okay, and just for clarification, do you support equal capital funding?
I support the opportunity to sit down and prioritize. I believe they should have equal opportunity to those dollars. So I've advocated for a traditional school that had horrible needs that were overlooked. And I believe that if another school I would have advocated for that school if it was public, if it was a traditional school, or if it was a charter school. We have to make sure that children are safe and healthy. So yes, I believe that if it's a safety and health issue for students, that we need to take care of all of the students in our county.
Okay, Tiffany, I'm going to channel Toby Hill on this one and just ask you, yes or no, are you in
Yes.
favor of supporting equal funding for charter high schools? Okay. All right. We have a few audience questions, and we are going to start back at this end, if that's okay. And these are I see they're noted to all candidates, so you'll have let's go with the same rules. 2 minutes is fair. We've done that so far. So here we go. Do you support the health clinic for district personnel? If so, why?
It looks like to me that the health clinic is running into problems, and that coincides, I think, with the Affordable Care Act, by the president. We've had years and years of problems with our health care plans. It started when I was teaching with the Mercury Corporation back in Stewart, and we were millions and millions of dollars behind there as well. Unfortunately, I had a couple years ago open heart surgery, but we have some of the best surgeons here in Vero Beach. Dr. Stowe, and I'm able to play tennis now. Healthcare is expensive, and I'm looking for all sorts of alternatives to try to balance the $7 million shortfall that we have. Ladies and gentlemen, it's nothing new. We've had problems like this for years and years and years. And I don't think we should put it on the taxpayer. That's not fair. And unfortunately, premiums are going to go up. I lost about $300 in my pension when I turned 65 in February. But I realize without this great medical community that we have here, I wouldn't be standing here. You know, sometimes you got to spend the money, you know. But again, we have to be really concerned about how our dollars are spent. And again, it has to get to the classroom. Thank you.
Laura Zork, District 3. Do I support the health clinic? If the health clinic is saving money, but it's not. We've been given information, apparently, that it is saving our district, but there's no proof in those numbers. We do know that overall we are $4 million in debt with our health insurance because we're self-insured. And with a background in operations management, I understand that when we self-insure, we also need to look at a stop-loss policy so that we could have covered those costs. And also, we're having a huge problem with our pharmaceutical cost. If it could be proven that we were saving money on this health clinic, perhaps it could be something that I could support, but we don't have that proof currently.
So I don't know how many people really know a lot about the healthcare clinic, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit. So the school district opened a healthcare clinic. Apparently it's costing about $1.4 million. It doesn't cost anything for people to use it. And so the concern is, what we've been told, what I've been told is that it's a cost avoidance of about $600,000 a year. There's no way to prove that. Those claims, if they were run through the regular insurance program, that it would cost another $600,000. I think it's, we don't know who's actually using that clinic, and there's a concern that perhaps because there is no cost, that perhaps that's why there are more claims. So I think that, I hear a lot sometimes people say we need to run the school district like a business. There are certain aspects of the school district that do need to be run like a business, and I believe this is one of them. If it is not saving us money, then we need to eliminate it. Thank you.
This is John Kim, candidate for school board. No, I do not support the healthcare clinic. Annually, it costs us $1.4 million to operate it. As a business owner, when I look at businesses and governmental agencies across the county and the state with over 2,000 employees, they don't have their own clinic. So why are we forcing our taxpayers to pay an unnecessary waste of money? The biggest issue in reality is the self-insured. Currently, we're self-insured, and this is the main reason why we have seen a 31% increase in premiums on our employees. the county government, which is private insurance, saw a $31 increase in premiums. It is not fair to raise such premiums on our teachers and employees who barely make a good salary to live happily. So I think we need to, one, shut down the clinic, save the $1.4 million. I do not understand the logic of the school district by saying we're saving over $500,000 a year by having it. Furthermore, it only offers general physician care, it does not offer any specialist care, which is furthering the increase of our tax dollars. So that's issue one, and issue two is we must go to private insurance. So please, vote for John Kim, August 30th.
Okay, we'll pass the microphone back to Douglas White. And here we go. Do you support the current school board's plan to seek the lifting of the federal desegregation order of 1926 concerning black students, teachers, and administrators?
I am concerned, this is Doug White, I am concerned about what's going on with this issue. We're having secret meetings. I thought we were in the sunshine, you know, government in the sunshine. We are going to court, very unbiblical. I think we need to stress the importance of hiring African Americans, Latinos, and if we have to go outside the state, so be it. We ought to be able to sell this beautiful community, Vero Beach. We need more role models in the classroom. We need more role models in administration. And I came from the Northeast, and this is not an issue. I would hope that we can end this by hiring more African American and Latino teachers and bringing up the amount of administrators and teachers to the system. And so let's get it together. Let's have negotiations. Let's give incentives for African Americans to come here. We need to do a better job. This is Doug White, and I am worried about the transparency of the school board and the superintendent right now. I'm sorry. I'm worried about it. Thank you.
Laura Zork. Paul, could you repeat that question? Do I support
Do you support the current school board's plan to seek the lifting of the federal DSEG order?
I am a member on the African American Achievement Plan Committee, and I do know that our district is working diligently to come in compliance. I know that we are working to bring more African American students into our AP classes, bringing better quality support to our students that need that help. I know that we are currently implementing a new procedure in going out and recruiting African American college graduates right on the spot. They're taking the applications. Apparently they've never done that before by going into these colleges to recruit. I think it's a shame that we've gotten to the point that we have to have this. But I do believe that our current school board members and Dr. Rendell is working in the right direction. And I would like to be a member of the school board so that I can make sure that anything that we agree on with this African American Achievement Plan, I will make sure as your school board member that it's enforced and that we can come in compliance with this. So, Laura Zork.
Tiffany Justice, District 5 School Board seat, Indian River County. So I am also on the African American Achievement Plan. It originally started out as the Multicultural Achievement Plan, but the focus really needs to be, in order to meet the needs of the desegregation order, on African American achievement. In order to reach unitary status, there are a couple different things that have to happen. And my understanding is that the school district hired the law firm to do a unitary status analysis to see where they were doing well and to see what areas they needed to improve upon, and to perhaps to help them to build a plan. As far as seeking partial unitary status, I feel that the way that the school district recently held a meeting was not as transparent as it could have been. I think it was handled poorly, and I think we saw from the community that they do not trust the school district. So we need to continue to build that trust with the many members of our community that care so much about their children's education. I support partial unitary status if it helps us to focus, to move past some of the areas, for instance, facilities. That's an area where I think there's been a lot of equity. One of the things the desegregation order wants to look at is the buildings that African American students are in, if they have been maintained properly. And my understanding in facilities across the district, and I've learned a lot about it in the past 3 years, is that yes, we have made progress, and across the board, there's not an issue with our facilities. So let's move forward with partial unitary status in that area, and that will allow us to focus on the areas of minority teacher recruitment as well as African American student achievement, which for me personally is the biggest area that we need to focus on. We have at some of our schools only 20% of our African American students reading on grade level, and that is just unacceptable to me as a parent. We are failing these students. Thank you. Tiffany Justice for School Board. Thank you.
This is John Kim, candidate for school board. I think the school district has failed to be transparent with our entire community by not sharing the information with our community regarding their unitary status findings. It's important that we share with our community all the information. We coordinate with the NAACP and our third-party organization that is doing the assessment for us. But in terms of how do we solve the issue with our teachers especially, our teachers are facing 5 major problems. Number 1 is a lack of local control. Number 2 is a lack of communication and support between district and school staff. It is expensive to live in Indian River County. Indian River County is not as diverse as other counties are, and our teachers are paid below the state average. Now, as a board member, I cannot change the living standards of this county. I cannot change the diversity of this county. But the 3 things we can fight for is to have more local control, to fight Common Core, and give control of our classrooms back to our teachers, to increase the support and communication between district staff and school staff, and thirdly, within our massive budget, find ways to get our teacher pay competitive with the rest of the state. By having these 3 things, we can get the best teachers for our children. The desegregation order, and in turn the unitary status, is not a black or white issue. This is an issue about educating our children and providing every single child an opportunity to be successful. It's time we look at our children as kids and not as politics, and make sure we give the best teachers and administrators for them. Kim is for kids. Vote John Kim.
Okay, for the sake of time, we're going to ask one more question. If you can pass the microphone back down to Douglas White. And here we go. This asks for specifics. It is clear that the current education platform is gauged toward a specific learning method or a learning need. In order to close the current proficiency gap, increase graduation rates, and retain quality educators, what will be your main area of focus?
Douglas White. You don't see any of my signs up. You don't see any campaign literature that I sent that was inappropriate. I've been calling teachers, giving them a pep talk, getting them ready for the school year. I've called just about every school in the county. And the teachers need this. Again, I think teachers are the backbone. If you believe in supply side economics, trickle down, if you help the teachers and get them, I try to be a cheerleader and get them in a good frame of mind, it's going to trickle down to the students. And that's the best thing I think we can do, is to help our teachers. And I was really pleased that the superintendent came out on Channel 5, or I think it was either that or Channel 12, and said, support our teachers. There's been 110 teachers who have left the profession, people. That's an all-time record. When I left, there was about 20 to 25. It's a disgrace. All the impediments they put in front of the teachers. Teachers are always wrong until proven right. Wasn't that way when I went to school. my father, and I would get the belt. He knew the teachers were right and I was wrong. The whole society's changed. Thank you.
Laura Zork, that is a great question. Like I had mentioned earlier, only 50% of our students are reading on grade level, from 3rd grade to 10th grade. If our kids aren't reading, they will not be able to do their math. They will not be able to understand and master the basics. So as your school board member, I will make sure that I give our teachers, because I do know that our teachers are not getting the support that they need. They do not have the tools that they need to successfully teach within the classroom. I want to make sure that every child in our district not only is reading on grade level, but is exceeding grade level, because I want our kids to go on and have a world-class education so that they can come back to Vero Beach. They can be doctors, they can be scientists, they can invent great and wonderful things. So I'm not just looking for mediocre education here in Indian River County. I'm looking for awesome education, because I have 3 children currently living in my home. One has already went off. My goal as a parent is to make sure that they graduate high school and they don't return back home. So I also want them to have a good job so that they don't come back into my house. Not that I don't love them, but anyways, literacy. I get some thumbs up in the back. So literacy is the key, and that's something that I definitely will work on.
Tiffany Justice, District 5 seat, School Board. I am a member of the Learning Alliance. I'm a literacy leader with the Learning Alliance, and I so believe that it is important to work with our community and those very important community partnerships to help children to be ready for kindergarten, to be ready for school. I'm part of the Kindergarten Readiness Collaborative that's working to make sure that children come to school ready to learn. Not every child is coming to school with the same tools in their toolbox. The work that the Kindergarten Readiness Collaborative is doing to make sure that every student is registered before school, it will make great gains in our community. Recently, I had the pleasure of listening to a gentleman named Jamie Vollmer. He talks a lot about education in this country. He was a businessman and got involved in education in his home state of Iowa, and then kind of through learning about education, public education, had some of the things that he thought about as a businessman change. And one of the things he realized was that finally the moral decision to educate every child is now the practical one. We're the only country in the world that educates all of our students. It doesn't, learning disabilities, it doesn't matter. We educate every child, we test every child. And so the country has changed. We used to need a lot of doers and some thinkers, and now we need everyone to be thinkers. If you're going on to vocational and career or technical education, only 11% of jobs don't need a high school degree. So schools, what he talks about is schools can't do it alone. As a school board member, I'm going to make sure that I reach out to community members and invest our community in the success of our school district, because thriving schools mean a thriving community, and a thriving community can help their schools to thrive. Thank you. Tiffany Justice for School Board.
My number one issue that I first ran on since January 5th of this year, and this is John Kim, by the way, is vocational education. As a member of the Career and Technical Steering Committee, I've made it a top priority of my campaign to ensure that we give our children a choice in career readiness. Not every child could, should, or would go to college, and that's fine, but they deserve an equal opportunity to be successful. Every child learns differently, grows up differently, has different aspirations. We have to give our children a choice in education. We have to give our children education that is focused on careers, to be business-minded. By having vocational education within our school systems, we will give our children a choice, whether to be a plumber or a lawyer, a mechanic or a doctor. Every single one of those professions is necessary. One is not more important than the other. It's important to have these programs within our high schools so they can be ready for the workforce upon high school graduation. It is important to teach them soft skills in business so they actually know how to get a job, how to keep their job, and how to thrive in their job. By giving our children an equal chance of success, either in college preparatory or vocational, we will decrease our high school dropout rates, decrease the unemployment rate within our county, decrease our crime rates, and fight the cycle of poverty and end it once and for all. I've had the privilege and the benefit of going to public and private school within our county. And it saddens me to know that a bunch of my friends who went to public school here did not graduate. And being 23 and talking to them, I've realized the reason they did not graduate high school is because they've realized high school only has a one-size-fits-all mentality. And it's time we give them a choice. It's time that we actually fight for our kids, do what they want to do, and make sure they go to school to get a job in the future. So as a business owner, and as someone who went to public school in our county, I humbly ask your vote and support. Kim is for kids. Vote John Kim.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's show your appreciation for these candidates.